Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah. So, yes. Right. Diving right back in. Farming is, or agriculture is the foundation of civilization as we know it. We were talking about how it's the foundation of the math, the architecture, the astrology, all the sciences as we know them.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
reason why being we had to transition from being hunters and gatherers to being cultivators, farmers, and gardeners. Now, that allowed us to stay still, recognizing that Africans, original peoples, been traversing the earth for millions of years, for millennia. Now, it took thousands of years of observation and connection to nature to be able to create scientific knowledge, right?
Yes.
And to the level that our ancestors operated, we're talking about sacred science. Because that's one thing that I always tell people, right? I'm a sacred wisdom keeper. So when people talk about Kemetic spirituality, we have to recognize spirituality is a term that's been given to us. Yes, we can use it. We know what we're talking about when we refer to it. But ultimately, to put respect on it, what we're really talking about is sacred science, right? To the degree that a lot of this information and a lot of this wisdom and knowledge was applied science. It was to be embodied. It wasn't just to have knowledge and information just for the sake of having knowledge and information and intellectual masturbation. It's to be applied and to utilize and embody the knowledge, embody the energy. So our ancestors were like, we are divinity,
Yes.
right? So we create that, and we do that through cultivating, connecting with nature. If I want to reflect the divine, and the divine is a creative force, then I co-create with nature, and that's how I sustain myself and my family, and that's how I build community and build nations and empires, right? And
Yes.
galaxies ultimately. So I say that because it's very important for us to recognize the importance of agriculture, right? And another thing that I would love to share with the family is when we're talking about critical thinking and analysis, it's very important that we come from an African centered perspective because we've been so conditioned and programmed to think out of our minds, right? As Dr. Francis Cress Welsing said in the ISIS papers, if we want to talk about our psychology and to be sane, we have to deal with the truth of the reality that we exist in, which
Yes.
means the state of the warfare that we're in and the reality that we exist in this world, this day and age, right? So for us to be sane, we have to operate in our African consciousness. So one way that we can do that through analysis is Professor Dr. Leonard Jeffries created something that's very powerful for us called the pyramid analysis. The pyramid analysis is an African-centered, holistic method of thinking. And the way this works is anytime you're doing critical thinking and analytical thinking, you have to consider three elements. It's literally a pyramid, or what our ancestors, what we call the Merkut. You're talking about culture, economics, and politics. You have to always look at the culture, the economics, and the politics. So when I was sharing earlier about Tehuti Ma'at as a revolutionary instrument, right, to build revolutionary institutions, because that's the thing. When you were talking about these four institutions that we need in order to create our independent communities, we don't just need any old bank, school, hospital, and grocery store.
Speak on it
We
there.
need, right, we need revolutionary institutions,
Yes.
right? We need to go up at the root, right? Because we're talking about replacing the system of chaos and disorder with
Yes.
the system of order, with the system of Ma'at, right? And that's how, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing talked about it. And I highly recommend the ISIS papers. And also two other books I want to mention, because I think it's always important to share resources and books and for people to know and go to the source of the knowledge, right?
Yes.
Because we're building on a foundation. Like the thoughts and ideas that I'm sharing is coming through like what the ancestors, what the divine is putting in my heart for me to do and offer. Just like Dr. Frances Cress Welsing had what she had, just like Brother X has what he has and he's doing what he's doing. You also have something unique for you to do. It's beyond us just regurgitating what other people have said and other people have done. We have to tap into our soul and our purpose, because each of us is here for a reason, and we have to contribute to creating, to co-creating the freedom and liberation that we desire to have. Everybody has to be active in that. But again, within that, we have to know the foundation that we're building on. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing is one of our ancestors that's on our board of ancestors. We were talking earlier about the hospitals and a lot of the atrocities in the hospitals. There's a great book that we did for our book club, Think. And I'll talk a little bit more about Think later on, but it's called Medical Apartheid by Harriet Washington. Very great book that really goes into the nitty gritty around the medical atrocities and a lot of the things that were mentioned earlier on. You also mentioned another book we did for Think, which was The New Jim Crow.
Yes.
We read that book before. And then someone in the comments had put Yorugu. And it's so funny because I mentioned that book to Brother X when we spoke about doing this live stream, because Yorugu is a book by Dr. Marimba Ani, or Mama Marimba Ani. And that book is an African-centered critique of European cultural thought and behavior.
Yes.
A lot of us, we have to recognize, like in the book, The Art of War, it talks about how if you have to know your enemy and know yourself. And if you know your enemy and you know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. But sometimes they use us to study us, and we haven't studied them. But what Mama Marimba did is when she went into the institutions and she got her PhD, her doctorates and all that, she studied them. So that's why I'm saying it's so important for us to know the way that the enemy has taught us to think in alignment with the enemy's interests, which is linear thinking.
Yes.
It's not holistic thinking. If we think in a line, that's evolutionary thinking. If we think in a circle or a spiral, that's revolutionary thinking.
Yes.
So you see how this took the solar element out. So I like to always take people to the root. Like, that's how we get down to the root. We're creating solutions and we're creating institutions, but we're creating institutions that deal with and uproot the rot of Eurocentric programming that has penetrated our minds, that we've been that we've assimilated into, and that we've been domesticated into. So I say that just to say, like, we have to get to the culture, economics, and politics of all things before we even make a choice. That's being critical. That's being analytical in your thinking.
Yes.
So with Tehuti Ma'at, when we create institutions of art, that's our economic branch, right? That's the production side.
Yes.
That's when you're dealing with your food, shelter, security, all of that. But Black creativity is the foundation and what is upholding the American economy. They don't the GDP of America is so, it's held by our creativity. Think about just music alone. Music is one of the main export of America is not anything tangible. It's intellectual property.
Yes.
So we have to see how our creativity, even when you think about social media, TikTok, all these things, it's our energy.
Yeah,
it's
that's
our
what we talked about earlier.
That's stimulating that economy.
Yes.
So
100.
that's the economic piece for us. So we have a program that we created because we do community service work. But also, I'm saying this to say, so you know, the work that we're doing on the ground. But we're also focused on building cooperative business ventures to align with each of our programs so that we're not relying on donations.
Yes.
Because to be honest with you, I've struggled so much and been so irritated by the fact that people are not willing to fund the work.
It's the sad part about it, Nef. Sad part about it is, like, we don't support each other. We are not used to having the responsibility of building our own institutions. Like, we're not used to that responsibility at all. And we won't unite. We'll go give our money to some other races and other communities and not even put our money into our own community and our own folks that's actually trying to do it, because we don't support one another. We're too busy trying to one up each other, you know?
Yeah, so we're still doing the work. We're just trying to get creative about how we fund it. So I still want to do all the work regardless, but we realize, okay, we have to create cooperative business ventures to align with each of our programs.
Yeah.
So in the realm of economics, what I was saying is in our Merku, our pyramid, that's our art and creativity branch. So we have a program. This is actually what launched the organization to begin with, because in 2014, Tehuti Ma'at was created through Sankofa.
Yeah.
And Sankofa is a pre-colonial African story workshop for children where we teach them digital storytelling basics, photography skills, videography skills, in order to teach them, because we know the attention span and all these things, and we know everything's about the devices, the phones. So it's like, okay, let's meet them where they are, teach them the skills that they need, but make sure they know the truth.
Yes.
And then they're able to create and tell their own stories. And we work our way backwards, right? We work from the cultural dynamic of like looking at the reality of the music,
yes,
and the media that they're exposed to right now. So we'll show them the, the patterns, let them see it for themselves and observe it for themselves. You show them the people that we get put on the TV screens and the types of movies we get to see, and they start to see for themselves, like, oh, there's a pattern here. This is why I need to be in control of my narrative.
Yes.
Right? And we teach them about our story. We teach them about what happened prior to enslavement, prior to colonialism and European imperialism.
Yes.
So that they know who they are. So that's the Sankofa program. When we get into the cultural element, that's the healing.
Yes.
Right? So healing institutions. So when we talk about hospitals, having healing centers, or any way that we create hospitals and things, we have to be able to revolutionize what we create. We can't just create a hospital just like these Western European hospitals and then just say, oh, well, this one's Black owned, so we support this one.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be dealing with the same issues.
Exactly.
Because it's not rooted in the right soil, right? So we have to deal with what types of institutions, how can we be innovative, imaginative, solution-oriented, holistic in how we approach medicine.
Yeah.
Right? Like I said, that has to be connected to the agriculture, it has to be connected to the land, because the reason why we have so much death and disease is because the way that we are poisoning ourselves. Right? They're poisoning us, and that's the main wing of the war right now, is the biochemical warfare.
Got it.
And if you do, because we have a membership program for Tehuti Ma'at called the Tehuti Ma'at Militia, and we've collaborated with the African War College to create the Amos Wilson Collective. So if you're a member of the Tehuti Ma'at Militia, you actually get access to the archives of all the different lectures and workshops and things that we've done. And one of those is countering chemical warfare.
Shout it out, Neff. Plug it right now. Tell them where to go find it at on YouTube and the Discord. Shout it out.
Yeah.
And so if you guys don't be alarmed with Neff moving around. She's trying to make sure her lighting is stay good out there. It's getting dark in Mexico.
Yeah, excuse me. I'm switching over here so I can get better lighting. But yeah, give me 1 second.
No problem. Take your time.
Ooh. It's not as good as I was hoping.
It's all good. It's all good. I know you're running out of daylight, but you're getting the points in, so that's good. She said, wait, I'm interested.
Okay, so if you want to join the Tehuti Ma'at Militia and get access to the Amos Wilson Collective, also known as the African Rehabilitation Center, aka the ARC. So if you want to join the ARC, this is like for serious-minded people. If you're really serious about getting the knowledge, awakening your mind politically, economically, spiritually, that's the work that we're doing. We're focused on building transformational power. So it's really about empowering the warriors that we are, right? So being able to have that information. And then there's a lot of educational resources in there. You get access to the archives, but you also get access to the community and being able to build with like-minded, conscious, awakened Africans that are ready to do the work and learn and to develop and to grow and to transform your own life, right?
Yeah.
Because it's about transforming our conditions, and it starts with each one of us. So you can join if you go to tehutimaat.org, or if you actually go on the Tehuti Ma'at page and click on the link tree, which is the link in the bio, you can actually just click directly on there. But on our website, tehutimaat.org/join, that's how you can join. And the membership has 3 ranks. We have the Kingdom rank, the Empire rank, and the Galaxy rank. The Kingdom rank is the lowest rank to join in terms of like your monthly contribution. It's $22 a month. You get access to the private Discord server. That means you get access to our members only exclusive content, but you also get access to the community events that we have. So we have a community connect each month. We also have a healing cipher each month. You get access to our newsletter, the Moonly Report. This deals with actually energy readings, the astrology, knowing how we're moving through these cycles and how you can navigate that within your own life. Because this wasn't just like up in the air. This is practical knowledge and information that can allow us to navigate our relationships and our connections in a more healed way. Because a lot of us are not aware of how the energy influences us. So we start getting reactionary. We've been doing a lot of work with the brothers and sisters, which interestingly enough has been mainly brothers with the healing ciphers. Doing a lot of work around our brothers are really getting into the emotional intelligence and emotional awareness and how to process their emotions and these are like real revolutionary brothers, like very strong brothers, like really focused on how they show up in their relationships, how they show up in their families, sisters as well. But I feel like my work has always been centered with mainly women, and I think it's a really beautiful shift happening right now with the brothers who are coming in to do more focused spiritual work and emotional development. And I'm really proud of that.
That's dope. Big up to the brothers. Big up to the brothers.
Yeah,
that we need to be that. There's nothing wrong with us being a little soft for our ladies, fellas. We come from, and Neff, you can feed off of this too. We come from a matrilineal system where we exalt our women. Our women is held to the highest power. We come from a woman, y'all. There's nothing wrong with bringing it down a little bit, bringing the alpha male-ism down a little bit, so that our women know that we're engaged. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We need each other.
Yeah, we do.
You know, because that's why our families are attacked. You know, and Dr. Francis Cresswell Singh also would say, you know, Black love is a revolutionary act.
Yes, it is.
And we have to remember that. That's why we're being attacked and being pit against each other.
Think about it like this. Look, quick point. Think about it like this, fellas. I know we off the subject of food, but guys, if we're out there fighting these battles on an everyday basis out in the world, we're fighting these battles. When we go home, if you're in a relationship with a woman, we go home, we got a good woman, everything outside of that door don't matter no more. We can reset. And that's honestly what life is about sometimes, resetting to get started the next day. If you carry yesterday into today, you're going to be messed up. It's going to be like carrying dead weight. You need to be light as a feather when you go out and attack that world again.
Yep. Exactly. Well said. Yeah. Light as a feather, we got to release, we got to let go. And we need each other for that. Yeah. And that's something that we absolutely have to recognize. So I was getting into the culture. That's the healing element. For us, the main program we have is Organic Food for the People. This is our initiative to create a sovereign food network. The foundation of that work has been the Tehuti Ma'at Community Garden. That's the one that I mentioned was in Weeksville. Weeksville being one of the first sovereign Black communities, one of the Black Wall Streets. And we're, you know, honoring that legacy on that land that the ancestors aligned us to, thankfully, because I was telling y'all about how we were doing the community speakouts and we were like, okay, we're going to grow this food. And the ancestors aligned it. So we ended up on this land in this sacred part of the world where our ancestors was already doing it. Yes. They had their own hospital. They had their own, you know, everything, their own grocery stores, their own farms. And everything was self-sufficient. And what happened is with the integration, and then like for that community in particular, they used the railroad to kind of just collapse that entire situation and disband that particular community. But there's a lot of different tactics that have been used to destroy our communities. But that doesn't mean that ain't nothing to stop us, because I think a lot of people always say that, like, oh, they're just going to bomb us like Tulsa, Oklahoma, or they're just going to do this and do that. So it's like, so what, you just stop? You just don't do nothing? You know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's not like when Nat Turner rebelled, slavery ended. Like, you still got to fight. And we got to be able to, like, shift into that space and have the courage to still fight. Yes. Like, what are you here for then? Yes. You know, like, if you're not going to, like, so you're just not going to do nothing. You're just going to be comfortable being a slave. Yes. Like, it's just like, come on. Exactly. So I love to say that to people. Like, we still got to rebuild. Yes, we got to rebuild, do it better, be stronger, be smarter this time. Absolutely.
Yes.
But we got to do it again. You know, we can't be afraid. We can't be afraid to use our voice and speak because they killed Malcolm and they killed Amilcar Cabral and they killed. No, we have to do the work regardless because we don't die, we multiply.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Exactly.
But so organic food for the people. Our goal though is to create a network of Black urban growers. So we have these urban hubs, but also to connect with the rural growers who are actually growing on swaths of land that are farming, and being able to have that network and create food distribution sites. And the main foundation of organic food for the people is the educational component.
Yes.
Called our raw workshops. So we have a workshop series that we do every year. Like Grow Your Own Food is one of the raw workshops. We also have Transition Your Kitchen. We deal with the politics of food sovereignty. We also deal with nutrition. Like I said, Transition Your Kitchen is a nutritional one. Lifestyle. We have Live It versus Diet. That's another workshop. Grow Your Own Food is like the basics of farming and agriculture. So just basics of what you need to know: soil, sun, water. You know, how to grow your own food, seeds.
Somebody said we need this in Michigan, Neff.
Yeah.
They said we need it in Michigan. Just get with her, follow those pages, go to that platform, and maybe you can be the one to start that in Michigan, baller.
Yeah. All you gotta do is get on land, and like there's so many ways to get access to land. So we can definitely, like, if you want to build and be a part of developing out organic food for the people, because what we want to do is connect with existing gardening and help people start gardens. Because what we started in Brooklyn is like we took a dilapidated lot and transformed that into an urban farm just to show you could do this anywhere.
That was Neff. Didn't a lot of the Nation of Islam, didn't they promote that and do that, like use some land, just some random land to start creating to eliminate the food deserts, right? Wasn't that what they were doing?
They have a lot of farmland. The thing, I want to speak to what you just said about the food deserts, because that's something that I'm really looking to redefine. Because
Garantino, I think Tonto, he said where at in Brooklyn now?
It's in Brownsville technically. The community is called Weeksville, but technically it's on the border of Crown Heights, Brownsville, and Bed-Stuy. So we're located at 455 Ralph Avenue. If you get on follow Tehuti Ma'a and you click on the links, you could go on the website, you click Organic Food for the People, or you click join, or just about Tehuti Ma'a, anywhere. Like the garden is like the main work that we like to lift. So it's going to be easy for you to find. And we're actually about to start doing a program with Youth Rap. So this is going to be brothers that had gun charges. Instead of them going into the juvenile system, they're going to be coming to the garden and working with us. So there's a lot of great things that we do through the garden, and I really encourage this, creating the garden space, because it becomes, what did I say? Like the land is the school, the land is the hospital, the land is the economy. There's so much we can do when we get on land, and we heal so much when we get on land. So it could be a space for you to do programs like what we're doing, collaborating with Youth Rap. Last Saturday, we collaborated with Food with Fam. We distributed over $3,000 worth of food to the people in the community for free.
Yes, that's
collaborating
dope.
with that community,
dope.
with that organization. So there's a lot of different things we can do when we have land.
Yeah,
right.
Very
the
true.
Land is the basis of everything. So
that's the one thing they kept away from us. That's the one thing they kept. That's the one thing they kept away from us. That's what we needed. Instead, they gave it to the former slave owners.
Yeah, and I really like a lot of the work that we've done organizing Tehuti Ma'a as a revolutionary ideology is really deeply inspired by the work that was done by Huey P. and Bobby Seale with the Black Panther Party. Now, the politics is different. We're not coming with the Marxists. It's very holistic. Like we're, I would say, like Diapists or Cabralistas. We're looking at like true African ideology, and Tehuti Ma'a is built on an 11-pillar platform, which is like inspired by the 10-point platform.
Yeah.
So we created this based on an African, going to the root, right? Because we also have to be analytical and critical about our ancestors and the previous movements that we've had, so that we build stronger and more resilient and, victorious systems that can take us to completion, right? Completing the mission, completing the goal of the African world order. So
my man Pharaoh Max said he
how they had the free breakfast program.
Yeah. My man said he had an
So
idea if you
food
want
for the
if you
people
want to hear
is
it.
us getting to the root of that. Like, how do we feed our people what we actually need?
Got you. My man said he had an
Yeah.
idea if he can be heard. What's your idea, brother? Do you want to come on the live and talk to Neff, or you can put it in the chat?
Okay.
He said he had an idea if he can be heard. We always want our people to be heard, man. Just want to make sure you guys know that this platform is never about likes and popularity. We want to bring everybody together. And if you bring in something positive, we can bring it together. When we our last live, Neff, we actually brung up your voice, and you and I showed the Discord all the what we are, what we want, and what we don't want. I brung it all up.
Okay.
It was. I still got it right here.
Yeah.
It's up here right now.
Yeah, because you got to be clear, you know, what you're about and what you're not about.
Let me bring him on. He said he wants to join.
Like to make it clear, crystal clear, so there's no confusion.
Bring the brother on right now.
Okay.
But that's dope, Neff. That's really dope, especially for the guys that had the gun charge. What's up, brother?
Hey, peace.
Blessings, bro.
Blessings. The thing I wanted to talk to you guys about was what my group and I were working on. We wanted to build a national database where we can count our resources, because the definition of an economy is the goods and the production of a nation. So we call ourselves Sun-Kissed people where I'm from. We are one of the biggest contributors in the world. We account for $1.5 trillion every year. So we're the 8th richest economy just amongst ourselves. So I'm trying to get an app designed where we can get all our Black businesses to start just posting themselves so that we can learn how to spend our money with each other and we can find each other. Because if we ever decided, hey, you know what, we can boycott the system and just spend within ourselves, we can actually lift ourselves up that way.
Yes.
Maybe one step closer to liberation. But this would take the coalition of organizations. So I see that what the sister is talking about is what we were trying to do. So we have land available. We don't have people to go out and actually grow the food for us. So
like that.
Manpower.
Yeah, and that's very important work, because it's really unity that's going to get us where we're going. Because none of us have all the answers, and there's so many problems. Like, there's so many different solutions. Like, we need the brothers like X who's building the platforms. We need the people who are on the ground actually growing the food. I get it, everybody's not going to be a farmer, but if we have the people who are willing to support the farmers, right? Because think about it, when we look at ancient Kemet, like, farmers were venerated. When you look at the highest position in the society, what people call the pharaoh, which our ancestors called the Nesubiti, right? The leader of the land, was holding farming tools, you know, representing the importance of farming. Like, that is very significant for us to remember. Like, we have to support the people who are going to work the land, but we got flipped upside down with the enslavement paradigm, because now we start looking at, and I see it every day with the garden work. When we first even started doing the garden work, get in the hood, and people coming in, they're like, I don't want to be doing that. I ain't no slave. Like, people would literally say that. So it's like, yeah, it's been flipped upside down. So we need that type. That's exactly what we need. We have to be able to come together. Who's gonna have who's gonna provide all the different resources? So if we were able to connect all the different businesses,
we already produce everything as a nation on our own, but we're giving it to them, and we're not counting what we're producing. So the minute that we start doing that, we actually become independent again.
So what is the name of your organization? What are you doing? How can we find more information and connect?
We're called SIUN, SIUN, Sun-Kissed Indigenous Universal Nation. And I'm going to join your group and see how I can contribute, because we have 300,000 non-GMO seeds already put up. And like I said, we don't have the manpower. But we have, we're doing a food drive in 4 different states right now, and we're trying to recruit and focus on helping the community first. Then we're going to step into educating, focusing on it from a homeschool aspect, but as a community, so that we can pull our kids out of the system, but at the same time receive the funds.
Nice.
Because, you know, we have to do according to how they want it. So I was going to actually ask you more questions about your food program, because we know that they're trying to implement laws right now to stop
Yeah,
Make
that's
sure
why
you DM me,
book.
man, so I can help promote and push your page, man. We literally getting 1,000 followers a day, so make sure you DM me, and I'll make sure I promote your page and lead people to you guys as well.
Yeah, I think
Well,
that's
the
very
problem,
important work. As far as
yeah,
like the funding is concerned, I do feel like what you're saying about creating the app, like we have to take the business route, because if we don't take the business route, there's no way that we're going to be able to be self-sustaining. I don't encourage people to do nonprofits if it's in your strategy and you find it within your best interest to do a nonprofit, to take advantage of grants. Absolutely. Like my thing is like, it's not an either or situation. Do everything that you could possibly do, but be
we got to
smart
think
about it.
about we have our organization as a nonprofit, and then we also filed under an LLC to do business. So
Okay.
we're trying to play the
Yeah.
game. We're trying to play the game
And
right.
what I would recommend is, not relying on the charity model that a nonprofit kind of pigeonholes you into, but it also allows you to get grants, because there's a lot of money out there that you can get through a nonprofit. So I think that there's still like, we need to do both. And now when it comes to the business side, what I think our institutions need to be gravitating towards that's not getting enough attention is cooperatives. Like worker-owned cooperatives, where we're not creating the same capitalist paradigm, right? We can operate and transition out of capitalism through cooperative business ventures, because we're not creating that top-down, like this person at the top is making all this money and everyone else is scrambling. Instead, when you have a worker-owned cooperative, everybody is equally invested, right? And that's the type of dynamic that I think we need to have. I think we get a little uncomfortable with hierarchy. I think hierarchy